Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our program student orientation webinar this evening. My name is Cheryl Christensen. I coordinate our advising services area here in the Faculty of Business. And another presenter tonight is one of our senior program advisors, Mike McLean. Maybe you just want to give a quick hello.
Sure, thank you, Cheryl. Hi, everyone.
Okay, so before we get started, we just want to know that you can hear us well and you can see the slide on your screen. So what you're going to do is practice using the questions box there just to type in and let us know if you can hear everything. And what you should be seeing is a slide from our convocation ceremony, actually, with a big purple banner that says Undergraduate on it. So if I could just get a few okays to know we can go ahead. Yeah, I'm getting quite a few, so looks all good on everyone else's end, so that's great. Good. Okay, so a few housekeeping items. So you'll notice that when I started the broadcast, it did tell you that you're on listen only mode. So you can't actually speak with us directly during this webinar, but what you can do, and why I just had you practice, was using that questions box. So that's where you'll type in any questions you have or when you do want to reach out to us during the presentation. We do ask that you kind of hold your questions till the end though, because we're hoping that most of them will be answered throughout the presentation. So yeah, have them ready, and if they're not answered by the end, then you'll have lots of time to ask them. We try to stick within the 1 hour time slot. It does take the full hour, and then we're able and willing to stay as long as we need to answer all of your questions afterwards. So don't feel rushed, and we certainly understand if you have to leave at any point as well. So um, just wanted to let you know, though, that we'll stay as long as we need to answer your questions. Okay, and one other note is that you will see there's a handout available as well that you can download and print off or save for your convenience, so you don't have to be writing everything down tonight. If you save that file, then you'll have all the live links and everything to access all the information that was given throughout the presentation as well. So we certainly don't want you distracted and trying to write everything down. So that's another benefit for you there tonight. So I'll just start off by congratulating you on taking this important step in your life. We know that applying to a program and committing to it is quite the feat. I know it can be scary and cause anxiety and uneasiness. I've been there as well. I've been actually with the university for 21 years now, and I've been a student as well. So I did my BCom the traditional way, and then I went and did our MBA program with us here in the Faculty of Business. So I know all kinds of doubtful questions that are going through your mind right now, like, can I do this? And you start going into panic mode, like, what did I get myself into? And it can sometimes seem like it's going to take forever. So we're hoping the webinar this evening will take some of that unknown out of your education equation and allow you to feel more comfortable and confident with completing your program and in successfully obtaining that goal of yours. And hopefully you'll be one of the people in these seats here on the screen attending our convocation one day soon. So certainly you know you have a goal, so picture it, don't lose sight of it. You've come here for a reason, so that's a great first step and an important one, because we're going to give you lots of good tips and information tonight that will set you up for success throughout your program. So let us help you achieve that goal of yours. So just a little bit more about myself. I just wanted to say that we do have a team of advisors here, which I manage. So there's 6 senior program advisors that are all ready and trained to help you with any questions you have regarding your program. So anything from registering in a course, which courses to take, which options to select, all kinds of different things, how your transfer credits work in, or maybe you're thinking about changing your program. You change your goal along the way. So that's what our advisors are here for. So advisors just like Mike that are online tonight. So now that you know a little bit about me and our role here and what we're here to help you achieve, I want to know a little bit more about you and what you're interested in. If you've already applied to a program, maybe you haven't yet, but you're interested. So it'll help us with the presentation as well tonight. So if you could go ahead and answer that poll. We do try to keep it a little interactive so it doesn't feel like we're just speaking at you the whole time. So one good thing too is now you know at least one or actually two of us um, at the university. So I know it can seem like there's no one around because you're not in a classroom situation, but there are people here behind the scenes to help you. Okay, so I'm just gonna wrap this up. I have most of you have voted now or completed the poll. Okay, so it does look like it's almost split actually in half. So 46% of you are in the Bachelor of Management and 50% are in the Bachelor of Commerce and 4% of you are in a certificate program. So it looks like most of you have already applied to a program. That's great. Um, and most of you are in our degree programs. So that's fantastic. And just to let you know too as well tonight, who's attending, because we actually have, well, it looks like 33 of you on the line right now and from all over. So, okay, so this is an overview of what we'll be covering tonight. So you enrolled in a program, now what? So lots of times we know it's easy to apply. You know, it takes a few minutes and you're basically in your program. Now what? So we'll go over a little bit about who our program students are, about understanding My AU, because that's where you're going to go to access all of your student information. We're going to go over how to plan your course load and schedule, how to use DegreeWorks and access your program details, and how to register in courses after you know what you're supposed to be taking, and then how to access the various services that are available to you as well. So who are our program students? So basically the main premise of this slide is just to let you know that seriously you aren't alone. Just like tonight, there's 30 some of you online also wanting to take an active role in your education. And there's people from all over. So this is actually a demographic of our real live data of who our students are and where they are right now. And they're all over the world. So you'll see it's largely concentrated. Alberta and Ontario are the highest concentrations, but there's students all over. There's students in all of our programs. And people are actually pretty surprised at how many students we have. So there's about 8,600 of you. Well, that data's getting a little old now, but over 8,600 of you that are unique students taking courses with us in business. There's a pretty even split between our degree programs, just like we're seeing with the participants tonight. And our certificates, we have about a quarter of what we see in the degree programs. So you're definitely not alone. There's a large body of students out there just like you going through similar issues. So we're going to let you know how to connect with your fellow students and those kinds of things as well throughout the presentation. So another few fun facts are just that, you know, our student body is quite different from most traditional on-site institutions. 73% of our students are working while they study. 31% of you graduates are the first in their family to earn a university degree. So I think those are pretty unique stats for our institution and really speaks to our model and what we're trying to achieve. We're really here to help people that can't attend a traditional institution. They still want that quality, they still want that education, and they have that goal. So that's really what we're here from. And we're serving over 40,000 students coming from every Canadian province and territory and 87 countries worldwide. Okay, with that, I don't want to spend too much time on that because you obviously know those things. That's why you applied with us, so that's great. What we do want you to know and become familiar with is My AU. So that's a student portal. You can access My AU basically from any web page that you're on with us, whether it be on our Faculty of Business website or the main Athabasca University website. You're going to see the My AU logo. anywhere up in the top usually. So you log in, your student ID number, with your password and your birth date will be your login to start with. But you'll be prompted to reset that password. So that's my first tip for tonight, is to make sure you know that password. You're going to be using it all the time. Make sure it's one you're going to remember. Um, it just avoids the hassle of having to reset it. Once you're logged into MyAU, you'll see a screen similar to the one on your screen right now. This is actually one of our staff members who took a snapshot of her course that she was in and her student profile. So she gave me permission to do that. So once you're logged in, you'll see something similar to this. It'll say welcome in the top. It should have your name. Then you know you're logged in, right? And I want you to become familiar with each section that you see in here. So that's one of your tasks for tonight, is once the webinar is over, you've taken this time, so take a few more minutes. Make sure you go log into MyAU. Maybe you can do it now on the side or something if you have two screens. And get a feel for each section and what's included there. You don't need to know everything that's in there right now, but I just at least want you to be familiar with it, so something triggers in your head later. Oh yeah, that's where I go for that. Or I think I saw that on MyAU. Okay, so first off, you'll see if you're registered in any courses, your courses will be listed here. So this student was in our Intro to Management course, Admin 232. That's our good basic starter business foundation course. If you were registered in more than one, you'd see the next ones listed there as well. Okay, that's where you go to access your course. The next section is your student records section. So you'll see there's subsections under there. So there's one for managing your courses, managing your program, managing your student record, and then there's one for Office 365 and your financial information. So have a look through each of those sections. So managing your courses, for example, that's where you can go register in a course. That's where you can get a course extension, withdraw from a course, check your grades. So basically anything related to your course and the status of it is going to be in that section. The manage your program section is anything related to your program. This is where you can actually check your program admission status. I don't know if you can see it that big on your screen, but there's a check your program admission status there. So many of you, you've probably just applied. You're wondering if we got your transcripts, if your evaluation's been done, if you're getting those transcripts assessed for any transfer credit, and you want to know the status of your application. That's what that's for. You can actually go and check your status and it will tell you, and if we're still waiting for them or not. And that's my second tip, I guess, for the night, is to go and check that, especially if you're having transcripts sent in, because we certainly don't want you waiting for 3 months thinking that it's taking forever to get your evaluation done, and then only to find out that we never received your transcripts and you have to resend them or it starts all over again. So that's a good tip for you for tonight, is if you are having transcripts sent, that is definitely where you can check if we've received them or not. And if you're having troubles accessing your information in DegreeWorks, if it's not displaying anything, again, you want to go check this admission status, because DegreeWorks won't display your program details until your evaluation's completed, or if you're not getting an evaluation completed, until we've gotten your application actually processed. Because even though you apply online and you're in, it's open admission, we still have to process it. So there's someone that actually touches that application and processes it in the system. So until that's done, you won't see those details. And Mike will cover more details about DegreeWorks and how that all looks for you when you do get access to it. So again, managing your program, that's where you can look at the transfer credits you get to once those are done. And most importantly, the link to DegreeWorks. DegreeWorks is our program planning tool, where you go for all your program information and to see which courses you need to take for your program and that you're satisfying your requirements. Below that is managing your student records. So if you move, you need to change your address, or maybe you get married, all that stuff is in here. That's where you can request your transcripts. Um, Maybe your account goes inactive with us. You'll see the reactivate on there as well. So that's all in there. So like I said, I'm not going to go through everything, but just get familiar with what's in there. Office 365 is important to point out now as well, because you actually do get an Office 365, all the software and an email account with us once you've registered in a course. So you don't have to go buy all of that stuff. You will get it for being a student with us. Then in the top right, you'll see a message center. So any messages, these are main messages we have available to all students. So if the systems, we're doing an upgrade or something, it's going to be down for an hour, that's where you're going to find this information. And anything important to all students is going to be in here. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that as well. Definitely don't want you in the situation where you're taking a time off work to work on your course only to realize that's the day we were doing a system upgrade or something. Below that is the My Letters. So those are your e-letters, your electronic letters that we send you. So there's some examples listed there what this student had. So they had a confirmation of their registration in the Admin 232 and exam requests approved, all those kinds of things. So those are sometimes here. They're only accessible for 6 months though, so if you want to save any of those letters, certainly do so, and you want to save them before that 6 months is up or they're gone. Another benefit, at least to us as staff members, is we know if you've accessed those letters or not. You'll notice there that it says not access, not access, access. So when you call us and say, well, I don't know where my confirmation is, we can look and see, oh yes, we see you haven't been in here, this is where you go get them, and we know if you've actually seen that information or not. Okay, so then besides this main screen when you log in, there's also sub-menus on the top. So again, go through those later after the presentation, and you'll see all the different communities, the library, student help. So really become familiar with MyAU. Okay, so now a little bit about planning your course load. Um, Normal for us, almost 2/3 of our students are pursuing their courses on a part-time basis. And again, it's because most of you are working, it goes with that other stat that I shared earlier. So part-time basis means basically fewer than 3 courses at a time, and about 40% are pursuing on a full-time basis. So it just depends on your life and your timelines and what you have going on as to how you complete those studies. We are totally flexible and open with what's going on. Okay, another main reason why people come to us is because of the availability of self-paced online courses. So again, and in the flexible start dates, being able to pay as you go and do your courses as you have time and as you can fit them in your schedule. So we definitely want you to fit that according to your own schedule. For example, I hear from lots of students, they know they work in an accounting office and tax season, they just know they're not going to be able to handle a full course load. So you plan and you adjust for things because of that. Another main thing to know is that our courses start on the 1st of each month. So the deadline, regardless, is always the 10th of the month to start the 1st of the next month. So November 10th will be the cutoff in order to get a December 1st official start date for your course. Now, having said that, if you register today and you pay today, even though it's past the 10th and you get a December 1st start date, you'll have access to your course and be able to get started on it. You just can't submit assignments and things and get that assistance until your official start date. So you can't have marking done, you can't hand things in, you can't schedule exams and things like that, but you can certainly get started. So the first doesn't really mean anything. It's basically you pay, you're in, you're ready to go. We just need to have those time frames so that we know when your end date is, those sorts of things. So you get 6 months to complete that course. The 3-credit course are normal, and you have up to 6 months to complete those courses. So if you get it done sooner though, like I said, there's self-paced. So if you get it done in 3, that's great. Maybe you had extra time to work on it. Maybe it's a concept you really understand. You're able to fly through it and get a good grade. Once you're done the course components, you're done. You can move on to the next one. So another thing we suggest is if you are flexible, let's say you're not going through student financing or loans or anything like that, then you really are flexible with how you arrange your courses and how you want to set things up. Another main tip, another one you're going to get right now is that maybe you want to stagger your start dates. So you're not starting all your courses in the same month. That means you're not ending them all in the same month and having that rush at the end. Staggering your start dates is always a good idea if you're able to do that and you're not regulated by some outside constraint or something. So here, the first disclaimer tonight is about student financial assistance. So if you're getting a student loan, a study loan, and you're a full-time student, you're gonna have different restrictions on you. You're not gonna have the 6 months, for example, to complete those courses. You're gonna be more like a traditional institution with a set time frame and deadline to get things done. You won't be put in your next set of courses until your first set's done, that sort of thing. So they want to see you making progress. There's all kinds of things, and that's because of the funder requirements, right? So we'll explain a little bit more about that, but it's really for our financial aid office to get into. But I will explain a little bit more about what full-time and part-time status means, especially for those of you that are getting financial assistance. Okay, so a full-time student normally takes between 3 and 6 3-credit courses at a time. So you're in 3 or more courses, it usually means you're a full-time student. We certainly don't want you doing that full of course load if you're working full-time. So if you call one of our advisors or contact us and ask us, say, hey, I'm going to take 6 courses, one of the first questions we'll ask you is, are you working? What are your what's your time availability? How much time do you have to spend on this? So that really helps us assess what you're getting into. We definitely don't want you overwhelmed right at the start. And if you're not being funded, then you have that flexibility. Then I'd say use it. Start with one course, see how it goes. Like I said, you can always add more, but don't start with too many and then have to withdraw or get discouraged because you weren't able to keep up with it. We definitely want you to have a good start. Okay, a part-time student would be anyone taking fewer than that. And so this is a definition. For taxation or Alberta student finance purposes, students who register in a minimum of 3 3-credit courses over a 4-month period, so see where that time gets constrained to 4 months, or you need to be in 4 3-credit courses over a 6-month period, then you're considered full-time. So it's going to depend on all of those things as to what you might be restricted by or have to fall into. And the other difference with students being funded is that you don't register in courses through MyAU. So some of the information we're giving tonight is a bit different, and that's why. If you're going through a funder, then you register in courses, you provide the course list to your financial aid advisor here at our institution, and they register you in the courses. Because if you register in MyAU, it's going to charge you. So that's basically the idea. And I don't think I covered that yet, but you pay for each course as you register in them. So if you're registering 3 courses, you pay for 3 courses. If you register in one course, you pay for that one course. So there's no set tuition available up front or anything like that. It's all pay as you go. Unless you're student funded. You're gonna hear me say that all night long probably. Okay, program length. How long will this program take me? That's a tricky question as well, but I'm sure it's one you're asking. Uh, a full-time student normally, that's based on a student taking 10 courses per year. And when we say the BCom, for example, is a 4-year degree program, just think that program is 40 courses. That's taking 10 courses a year in order to get done in that 4 years. Well, most of our students are not taking 10 courses a year. So just keep that in mind. If you're taking fewer courses than that, or you're doing part-time, or as you can do them, it's going to take you longer to complete the program, that's all. There's no limit on how long it takes you to complete your program, as long as you remain an active student with us. So we want to see you taking at least one course a year, and you'll maintain that active status, and you follow the program regulations at the time you applied. You don't have to worry about things changing. You're always following those regulations of when you came in, as long as you stay active. And that's the good thing about DegreeWorks too, is because you can't really fail. It's showing you what you need to take. Another thing that can change the length of your program, obviously, is if you have any transfer credits you're going to be bringing in. So if you've gone to post-secondary somewhere else and we're assessing those credits for you, that could significantly drop the length of your program, especially for those of you with, for example, a business diploma that gets half the program credited to you from the start. So just keep that in mind. I wouldn't think of it as years. I'd think more like half or a third done, that kind of thing. Hey, I'm just going to take a sip of water because I'm starting to lose my voice already. Okay, course loads, how many to take? So I've gone over some of this now. So it's definitely the number of courses you want to take is your own decision. You can take a maximum of 6 at one time, actually. And then it kind of maxes you out. So if you tried to register in another one in my AU at that time, it wouldn't let you till your other ones were finalized, or at least one of them. And again, if you're working full time, this is your first time taking a course with us, start with one course if you can. Get a feel for how things work, what the policies are, what the procedures are, how you're going to schedule your exams. Once you have all that figured out and you've gone through the motions, it's going to be a lot easier for you and you'll be able to handle more. So again, I really do recommend spreading out things if you can. So maybe you're taking fewer courses at a time, but it doesn't mean you can't work on them and get them done faster, right? But again, it's up to you and how it's going to work for your own life and schedule. Okay, study time and what to expect. So this really differs and it's a hard one for us to answer. As a guideline, you can expect to spend anywhere from 10 to 20 hours of study time per week per course. But that gives you an idea. You can't just think you're going to spend 2 hours on the weekend and do well in your course, because that's just not going to happen. Or maybe you can, but you might not learn anything or, get a good student record or a good grade in the end. So, and some courses will take you less time than this, some may take you more. It all depends on your comprehension and knowledge of the subject matter. You might know yourself, oh, I have to take statistics. I know I'm not good at that. It's going to take me more time. So keep those kinds of things in mind as you are planning your schedule. Don't try to put really heavy ones that you know you're going to struggle with all together. And that's what an advisor can help you with as well. And again, another push tonight is just to ensure that you use the academic support and services available to you when you need them. There really are people here. We have faculty here, academic experts ready to answer all your course content related questions as well. So if you're struggling, you're not understanding something, just know to reach out, and that is what they are here for. So again, I know it's one question we get all the time, but it's not one we can really answer for you. And you might have a better idea, like I said, once you do take that one course. And keep in mind as well that as you progress through your program, the difficulty level and what's expected usually increases as well, right? A junior course is going to have a lot less to do than the senior ones do. The senior ones build on the junior ones. So those kinds of things. Selecting your courses and what you need to know. So again, it's important you understand clearly what you need to take in order to complete your program requirements. You follow the program regulations in place at the time of your admission, and that admission and your program details are loaded in DegreeWorks in your worksheet, and they'll spell out exactly for you what you need to take. It helps identify all your requirements. It checks things off as you do them. So it's a really nice tool, and I really want to see all of our students using it. I've seen all too often as well where you just go on the website and look at the program as it looks today. Well, you applied 5 years ago, you could be in totally different requirements than what we're showing you today on the website. So again, keep that in mind and use DegreeWorks. And Mike will go over that in a little bit here. Some terminology, because any of you new to post-secondary or maybe you haven't been in post-secondary education before, I'll just go over a few of the terms and things you're going to see within your studies. So required courses are just that. They're specific courses that are required for your program. So we tell you exactly you must take Admin 232. So they'll have a specific name and number provided. Elective courses, those are courses from a specified list. So you have a little more flexibility there of what to choose. You get a choice over something there when it's an elective. So it might be anything in senior tax, CMIS, or accounting. Or it could be anything, this specific course, this one, or this one. So that's an elective course. Option courses, those are ones you get to choose. What the option will tell you is which discipline, area of study, and level it has to be in, okay? So say you can take anything in junior business and administrative studies. So I'll explain a little bit about how you actually pick those, what that means. But option courses, they're not optional. I've had that question too. But when you go through DegreeWorks or you look at your program details, those credits have to all add up. You have to have the right amount of courses. So options are just giving you the little bit more flexibility to choose things outside your comfort zone, things that are going to expand your knowledge beyond just business too. It makes you a well-rounded individual. Okay, so when you are choosing options and choosing courses, some of these other terms are going to become important. Certainly prerequisites are important. So what that is something, it's telling you you need to have this course done before you take this one. That's a prerequisite. So certainly if you're looking at a course, you want to take it, but it has a prereq that you don't have, then you shouldn't be taking it. If you're not sure if you have a prereq or not, that is what an advisor is for, or DegreeWorks will tell you that as well, if you understand how to read it, but certainly an advisor can help you understand that too. The level of study becomes important when selecting options or electives and things that specify a level. So a preparatory course is one with a 100 number, so it starts with a 1. Junior level is anything with a 200 number. A senior level is anything with a 300 or 400 number. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So for example, if you're in the Bachelor of Commerce program, you don't have any transfer credit, you're in the regular general route, you're going to have the ability to take one prep level course. So you go and look and see what that is. So anything at the preparatory level. So those kinds of things. So that's where that becomes important. And DegreeWorks spells that out for you as well. It'll show you in brackets the numbers. But what it doesn't do when it links you out to the areas, it's not going to show you just those numbers. It's going to show you anything under that area. So that's where you have to pay attention and make sure you're selecting the right number level. Okay, the area of study is important too because, like I said, it'll tell you whether that has to be in business and administrative studies or whether, let's say, most of ours now say non-business and administrative studies. That would mean anything but the business and admin studies courses. And those would include courses in the humanities, sciences, and social sciences. We used to spell them out more like that, not so much anymore. You don't really see that in our business programs. You'll see it's either business or non-business um, in most cases. But if you see the humanities, sciences, social sciences, those are just courses in other areas that you have to be looking at. Okay, do not register and exemptions. So this is for those of you that are going to be bringing in transfer credit or having it assessed. That's the only time you're going to see these. So do not register. These are courses we list for you that you already hold equivalents to from elsewhere. So you can't take those again. We're telling you do not register in these courses. So you can't select them as options or to fulfill exemptions in your program. So it says do not register, don't register in it. It's pretty self-explanatory, but that's why. It's because you already have the course from somewhere else. So what does an exemption mean then? So an exemption is really a do not register, but it's for a required course that's remaining in your program. So let's say you're at your transfer credit maximum, or we've already given you all the credits for your diploma, but this required course is still needed here for us. So in the rest of your program, but we recognize you already have that one too. So you still need those credits to make up. So we let you choose what you're going to replace that with. We're not going to make you take finance again if you already have the equivalent to corporate finance. We're going to ask you to replace it. We're going to give you this exemption, and you're going to replace it with a course in the same area study at the same level or higher. So it doesn't have to be another finance course, it has to be another business course, so the main general area and at the same level or higher. So again, advisors can help you with that, but I hope that helps to clear up some of the confusion, because I know exemptions, when people see that, that's a big one. They don't understand what that means or why they have to replace them. Okay, and with that, my voice gets a break and I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
Hi, thanks very much, Cheryl. Is my audio sounding okay?
Sounds
And
great.
how's the screen set up here? Looking okay too?
No, I'm seeing your calendar. You're gonna have
How's
to,
that?
there, yep.
All right. So thanks again for Cheryl getting things started. As a senior program advisor, I'm part of a great team, and as Cheryl has said, we're always happy to hear from you. So it's great to be here with you this evening, and I'll dive right into discussing what you'll see with your course description or course syllabus. I'll just point out that I like to mention actual examples of things that I've dealt with students as recently as today, where not reading the course description can result in not getting credit for a course. If you look at a course description, you'll find all kinds of information that can be vital to your performance in your program and in the course specifically, obviously. We can see that in this example provided here, Administration 232, Introduction to Management, we see the revision it's in. If you are in any of the taxation courses, those courses are revised practically every year or so because things change so often. So it's good to note that it's a 3-credit course, as most of your courses will be 3-credit courses. There's just the rare exception where some of the non-business offerings are 6-credit courses, but out of 1,000 students, I might see, a handful take a 6-credit course. You see the area of study. Here it's kind of neat to see that some of our courses, for example, industrial relations, some of our econ courses can be applied as business or as non-business, but mostly you're going to see that a course has a single category that it'll apply, and it's good to know that for your options, for example. Cheryl's touched on prerequisites. We also want to note that these course descriptions will tell you if the course is available. Every so often, especially with non-business courses, the course might be under revision. Perhaps they haven't updated the description. So if you're confused, you can't get into a course, check with us, but also check the availability, and that'll tell you whether or not it's open or not. It'll also tell you if it has a challenge for credit option. So in some cases, our students coming from professional backgrounds, in many cases working, they might have some experiential knowledge in a course, or they've taken similar courses where they don't have formal credit, but they feel comfortable that they could challenge the course for credit, which is a collapsed period of 3 months where you typically make time to get ready for an exam, is often the case, sometimes assignments. But by doing the exam or assignments, you demonstrate competency in that course subject matter. So the challenge for credit is another important item. If it's available, you can kind of go into your challenge procedures and regulations and learn about that. And of course, we're always here to clarify those kinds of items too. The other part of a course description or syllabus that's really critical, I must say, is the evaluation part, where it will tell you, here's what you're going to have to do to get a final grade. And in this one instance, a student unfortunately neglected to see that all assignments had to be submitted for their final grade. In that case, a student who might not have read that item, doing 3 of 4 assignments, thinking, well, this isn't going to be the best final grade, but I should pass based on the fact that I did okay on 3 out of 4. And if the final grade requires all 4 to be submitted, that's a fail. So these are unpleasant surprises that you can probably avoid if you just thoroughly read through the description. You'll also see that textbook, for example, the resource, it will specify whether it's an electronic textbook, which is generally the case, and more so every year as we convert everything to e-textbooks. And so on occasion, though, you will get printed matter submitted out to you, and that usually comes out within about a week or so of your registration in the course. But really plan to be an e-textbook user. And I know some of us out there, we like the feel of a real book or a print-based resource. Unfortunately, if that's the case for you, you'll be making your own arrangements to obtain a copy of a print-based resource. So the e-textbooks seem to get better and better every year, and I've personally found there's all kinds of great options using an e-textbook, and I hope you will find that too. Other course material information is also listed there. The bottom line is that the course description is something I'm afraid some students just completely ignore, and it is just filled with some really important information. Now we're into DegreeWorks, which Cheryl had touched on earlier, which really is one of the primary tools I would say many of our students use most often. As far as a program planning tool, it will help make your work as a student easier. It helps make planning and just generally knowing what your program's about and where you're at in that program, how your transfer credit worked in. And I see Cheryl's just alerted us to the fact that the poll is open, so we're curious to know how many of you have already given a shot with your DegreeWorks, logged in, checked things out, maybe familiarized yourself with that tool. So we'll just give you a moment to respond to that poll. And if you haven't had a chance and you're not sure what DegreeWorks is about yet, that's fine too. I'm just going to grab a quick drink of water. Excuse me, and thank you for your patience. It's dry Alberta air out here. If you're joining us from outside the province, that's a thing.
I was just
Anyhow,
gonna say it must be pretty dry in here.
yeah,
My
there you
voice
go.
is really bad tonight. So I think I'll go ahead and close this. It looks like 83% voted. Um, so about 30% of you have accessed DegreeWorks already, 53% said no, and 17% said they accessed it, but no information was displayed.
Okay. Well, thanks for responding. Now, for those of you who don't see information, I'm going to guess that you're in the process of having previous studies assessed for transfer credit, or you're just very recent to enrollment. So in that case, you won't see much information when you do log into DegreeWorks. For those of you who haven't taken a crack at it yet, it's there for you to discover soon. And congratulations to those of you who've already been in the sandbox to play around a bit. It is a great tool because for the most part, it just works. It will tell you what you came in with from previous studies. It will tell you what you're currently taking, color coded. For example, you see there's green check marks. That leaves no doubt that those are all done with. You've dispensed with, in this example, all these introductory courses, except for the English course listed there. That's still needed. If this example here, the student was in the process of taking the English course, for example, they would show up as a blue bar across the screen. What else do we see here? We see that this is a catalog year. If you look in the sort of center of your screen, you'll see that this would be the 2015-2016 year of regulations. So it's important to note that because regulations change from occasion. Maybe every September is typically when this happens, but we might tweak a program, which we actually did very significantly this year in January. So if you ever go inactive in a program, which is basically going about 12 months where you've had zero activity, you get a notification a month in advance to say, hey, you're going to go inactive. And that's when we get, contact from students to say, what do I do about that? But if you do go inactive and reactivate, you basically come into whatever the current regulations are. And for those of you with transfer credit, that can result in disadvantages. So it's always good to know what year you're in and what you stand to lose if you do go inactive. It also tells you credits required. So if this is a quote 4-year degree, 120 credits, we see this individual has 66 counting. And by the way, that will keep count as to what you're already taking in that moment too. So it'll count that, assuming you're going to be successful in the course. You also see, what do we see here? Tabs along the top, similar to your My AU portal. Check out those tabs because those are added features. And I would say the planner feature, if you look, it's right next to the worksheet, which is the default view when you log in. But the planner feature is probably that next most useful part of DegreeWorks for those of you who like to think about how you're going to tackle a full or half a degree or whatever it takes to get to the finish line. You can plan it out in the planner feature. You can populate one or all semesters right up to the finish line, or 2-3 courses at a time. It is really up to you. You can submit multiple plans as you go, change things, delete things. It's all contingent. We will respond to any submitted planner in DegreeWorks within 2 business days to accept or reject it. But those are courses that you're not bound to take. It's just to let us know what you're thinking of taking. So it's a great way to use DegreeWorks. I do hope you all make use of it as soon as you have access. Now, in the middle section here, we have the example of, I guess, a major in accounting. So where we see required courses still needed, we also see options. Cheryl has touched on options as, a range of choice here. If the student had come in with a diploma that, for example, they had already their overview of corporate finance in their diploma, this is where we'd see an exemption showing up. But anyway, here's a blue bar where it shows this example. The student would be taking their accounting 352 intermediate financial accounting level 2 here. So again, I'd say it lays out your information pretty well. And anytime, because DegreeWorks, like any tool or person for that matter, tools can fail us. People make mistakes, but you might see something in DegreeWorks that doesn't really look right. That's where you also want to get in touch with a program advisor as soon as possible. Sometimes there's a perfectly reasonable and simple explanation, but you know what? Maybe we missed something. Maybe we have to look at things closer. So you let us know if something in your DegreeWorks doesn't add up to you or isn't really making sense. Now at the bottom in your DegreeWorks view, you'll see that there's a fall through section. So this is the area, again, getting to the do not register and exemptions. In this case, an individual with an exemption for their financial accounting level 1, accounting 351, we see a whole bunch of do not registers. That's, in this case, a Saskatchewan Polytechnic diploma where they'd taken things like micro and macroeconomics. So always good to keep track of that. And it's a big warning sign if you ever have credit showing up here. As you can see in the columns, this is all transfer credit. That's zero. It's just marking the fact that we don't want you to register in these specific courses, the year that the student would have taken them in their diploma. But if you ever have a course showing up with a 3 there, that could be an extra to degree course. Is that something that you're quite conscious of, and is it intentional, or is this a mistake? So you tend not to want to see any numbers in there, any 3 credits, because that means it's extra to degree falling outside your degree program. And let us know, again, if something looks a little weird there. In progress, in this case, we see the student taking decision analysis. And finally, in the exceptions area, this is also where we might put notes at the very bottom. This is where something was specifically done where an advisor wants to make a note of it in case we want to look back a year, 2 years down the road and say, what were we doing there? What was it the student needed? Was it a special thing we had to apply to their program? And so that's where we might add that information. All right, here is a little snapshot of using the planner. It doesn't seem to work as well in all browsers uniformly. So I'd say Firefox tends to work okay, Microsoft Edge. I've heard different things from students. They said Chrome worked just fine, and others said it didn't work very well in Chrome. But yeah, definitely try out the planner, because whatever browser you're using, what you should be able to do is just drag the code on the left with your mouse, drag it over to the term, and just drop it into one of the slots. That's as easy as it should be. And then you can add notes along the little right-hand field there, where if you want to specify something for us to know about, this is all very helpful information. If you are a funded student, the planner feature is even that much more useful, because funded students are going to want to clear their course selections with a program advisor before they send a course registration plan. So this is a great way to do it. Signal what you're about to do. As soon as we sign off on it, accept the planner, you can go ahead and send that course registration plan to your student financial aid advisor. So make use of your degree works. And by the way, I've had the experience with students who have tried to use it and got frustrated, and sometimes it's for a really simple reason. So let us know if there's something about DegreeWorks that just doesn't seem to be working for you, and maybe we can kind of help you out with that. With the look ahead, it's kind of similar to the planner feature, but it's basically a way to glimpse at how different courses might fit. It's not really something you can save. And to be honest, I don't see that a lot of students have used it, or I'm not getting that sense of things, but it's just another way to use DegreeWorks. There's really more ways to use it than I would say most students really bother. They're happy to log in and out of their worksheet. It just tells them how things are going, and that's as easy as it gets. But again, you can use DegreeWorks for a number of things, and we're happy to answer any of your questions about it. All right, so you're ready to do it now. Maybe some of you already registered in a course, or maybe you've already got credit under your belt, AU credit. But for some of you, I suspect you're contemplating what's that first course, taking the plunge. So we look at whether you have previous post-secondary, whether that's even a factor. Of course, if you have, most times I would say 99 out of 100, it makes sense to go ahead with an evaluation. Why would you not do that? Well, today, again, no joke, the student, as we probed, it was a college certificate, and we were able to identify that this would not result in transfer credit. So going through all the motions is just kind of dragging things out. Excuse me. Well, no point really. And so it's only when there's even a chance that there might be transfer credit that we do recommend that the eval fee, the one-time fee, is worth it. But if you're not sure, again, this is always something for conversation with a program advisor. We talk to students every day who are just not sure and they want a little guidance here. So if you've received your eval results, your evaluation results, things should be pretty clear. You'll have access to your degree works. You have a view of courses you need. And that's often one of the first conversations a program advisor will have with a student is, hey, let's review degree works together. That's a great way to just get started because we can look at the results of your transfer credit evaluation with you and we can identify things. That's where I've caught in the past, like funny, goofy little things where maybe the degree works has done something funny with their previous studies and we can address those issues. So this is always one of the very best times to get in touch with program advising. Now, what if you have previous post-secondary? What if the 4 weeks or so, maybe longer, if it's going to take a while to get your transcripts in, and you just don't want to wait for those results, you want to get started, we can talk safe course selection with you, and students do that every day. Usually it's something we can work out with a student is identify any risk courses and steer them towards something that's likely to count in their program where they can feel comfortable and confident that, yeah, they can go ahead, go on with the eval, but work on a course in the meantime. So if you need help with a safe course selection, we'll do our best, but it kind of is on your shoulders because you are the best judge of what you've taken in the past. So once you've paid the fee, you've got the eval results, you've got to look at your degree works with a program advisor. You really are ready to go. And as Cheryl said, even though the start dates are the first of the month every month, and you have to register by the 10th of the month prior, it doesn't really stop you from starting in at just about any point. Because aside from the restriction that none of your assignments will be graded and you cannot book an exam until the first day of your contract, you can certainly get started on readings and in most cases, really get a ways into your assignments also. So just back to my AU portal, this is where it all happens, the magic. This is where you register in your course and this is as easy as it gets. I've talked to students who are quite a ways on the spectrum of, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, this is online. How do I even get started? Where do I begin with a course? Do I phone someone? Well, it is that easy. You go into your My AU portal, you register in a course, you identify that course code, and you assign your start date, which is more often than not going to be the next first of the month that you're eligible for. And you're in. So if you have any questions or lingering doubts about whether it's the right course, here's the time for you to give us a call. But this is where you can do it. And as Cheryl's pointed out, just covering a bit of the My AU portal, it's quite a space. There's a lot that can happen here from registering in courses, accessing your course site, requesting transcripts. It's just a busy, busy area. And it's really incumbent on you to review what's all happening in this space because it's going to be important to you throughout your AU student career. Well, I'm just going to end things, I guess, before I pass it over to Cheryl, on a note of the students out there and the sort of, I guess, inspirational thing here. But basically, in this case, Sanjesh Singh from Chestermere, Alberta, saying, you know, I fit school around my life. So he didn't put anything on hold. He had his work, his family business, and a career in accounting waiting for him. So I don't know how closely that resembles you today, but whatever is going to happen, as Cheryl pointed out, you have a goal, keep that in your sights and work towards it. Let us help you get there, but you're going to do it. And thanks so much for coming out to this webinar tonight. I'll turn things over to Cheryl now.
Great, thanks, Mike. So the next thing I'm really going to push on you is your support system. So you want to be successful. I know you think you can do it on your own, but the bigger the team you have behind you, the better. So there's a whole team here on the AU side to help you out and support you. But also, I would really tell you to go out and get all your personal supports as well, whether it's your husband, wife, partner, kids, a colleague, anyone, right? So make sure you have those supports. You're going to need them when you need that extra push or when you're feeling discouraged or overwhelmed. And yeah, I would just say use whatever resources you can, and it's going to help you be successful. So when you do need help with us, really all you need to know tonight and going forward is that we have a student support center here. It's your one-stop contact for everything you need to do with us in the Faculty of Business. Anything, you have a course question, you have a program question, you have a question about an extension, anything, your exam. It all goes through our Student Support Center. So you don't need to know every contact, and actually you won't even get a direct contact for these other areas. It all gets funneled through the support center so that it can be run efficiently and we can answer your questions in a timely manner. And another thing I would say, so my another tip for the night is be as specific with your questions as possible. That's really going to help ensure you get to the right place and the right people to answer your questions, and is not less that back and forth and waiting for responses and things like that. So within the Student Support Center, there's other groups that help. So the student advisors on the front line. Then we have the senior program advisors like Mike. Like I said, there's 6 of them. There's a whole crew of academic experts and faculty support for your course content and course questions. And there's a whole technical team as well to help with questions. Maybe there's a link in your course not working or anything, right? So again, one-stop shop. All you need to know is the Student Support Center is here and they'll get you in touch with the right people. And then, just like anywhere you'd find on a traditional college or university or anything, there's other support services available. So beyond Faculty of Business, Athabasca University has different areas available to assist you in all different capabilities. So if you need help with your career planning or exam anxiety, all ranges of things. That's what our counseling services area is for. We have access to students with disabilities. So maybe you need more time with your exams. Maybe it could be anything. So there's a whole area there to help support you and assess your capabilities. There's a whole library resource, and we have a write site and a math site to help you in those areas in particular. Okay, the road to success. So this is where I do kind of have to plug um, being careful and understanding your risks and making sure that what you're submitting is your own work and that sort of thing. We want to make sure that our program director and dean are shaking your hands on the convocation stage and not having to deal with academic misconduct and having to expel you from the program. So when we do find cases of plagiarism or cheating or anything like that, it could range. You could get a 0 on that assignment. You could get withdrawn from the course. You could get an expulsion. It just depends on the severity. So understand the risks. I know the library actually puts out a webinar as well about plagiarism. And we have links here. So if you download that document of tonight's presentation, you'll have all these links as well. So just make sure you do know what plagiarism is and what the different offenses are. It is your responsibility to be aware of that, and just saying you didn't know is not going to be good enough. And we certainly don't want to deal with those issues. We want to see you be successful. So we're getting close to wrapping up here. Sorry, we're a little bit over, but not too bad. So hopefully you can stick around with us for the question portion. So of course we have all the social media outlets, channels. And one thing that we don't put on here that we do like to plug now is our AU Students Union app. So I mentioned early when I was first talking about staying connected with your other fellow students and what's going on, what they have to say about a course and that sort of thing. We're finding it really valuable, and lots of students are using the chat feature on that AU Students Union app. So you can download that from wherever you get your apps from. So that'd be another big plug. And it has outlets to all the different connections as well, counseling and the right site and all those sorts of things. So very valuable. Stay in touch with your students union. You pay the fees for it with each course you register in. They are there to help support you as well. Another thing, we always are hosting different webinars. So maybe like I do one with the CPA, for example, if you're interested in becoming an accountant. We hold those 3 or 4 times a year usually. We have other ones with the HR Association and, a finance. So different things are always going on. So stay connected. Our website is a great resource, the Faculty of Business website, to find all those news and events going on. And things like our case competitions that you can get involved in that really helps beef up your resume and things like that. So I'll go there as well if we have time after to show you kind of what's going on there and what's been happening. So key takeaways tonight, just know your top resources. So we've shown you the main things tonight. This is really what you need to know to get started and get going. We definitely want you to feel at ease and that you understand at least now where to go for things and what's going on. And we don't want you to be overwhelmed or cause you any anxiety. And we want you to know there's a team behind you and lots of different resources ready to assist you. You don't have to know each of them. All you need to know, again, is that Student Support Center. Maybe you forget you can't get into MyAU, or you don't know where your degree works is. Exactly, that's where you go. Student Support Center, they're going to help you out. So I'm just pulling up the contact information now for the Student Support Center. So one key bit of information is that they are open right now. So they will actually be available until 8:30 tonight, Alberta time. So we're available every day but Saturday. So they're even online on Sunday, ready to take your calls, or if you've submitted a contact form or however you want to contact us. That is the hours of availability. So only evening, they're not really open late as Fridays because we just found students really aren't calling us on Friday nights. Go figure. I don't know why that would be, but take your breaks too when you need them. So we know it can seem like a long road. So just one word of inspiration or advice is just look at yourself. You're doing it. You set aside time tonight. It's going to mean success in the future. And even if you take just one course a year, you're still that one course closer than you were last year. Okay, so we wish you every success, and please, like I said, we're here to help support you. And we're going to stick around as long as we need to answer all of your questions tonight. If we can't answer them, we'll certainly get to them within the next day or two, because I do have all your contacts from signing up for the webinar as well. So we will certainly do our best. Okay, so here we go. I know there's some questions in here already, so let's take a look. So Brooke was asking if I can please get the handout emailed to me. Okay, so if anyone wants a handout or they weren't able to download it, you just send me a quick message. I'll have your name, so I'll be able to know where to send it when you signed up. So if you weren't able to access it, please just let me know and I'll make sure I email it out to you. Mitchell asks, can I use my student email to receive the Wall Street Journal for the student price? That's a great question, Mitchell. So your student email actually does give you access to all kinds of things. So that was one of the big benefits of us providing that for our students. So, and you can get a student ID card as well. So anytime you need a student ID to show for discounts or a student email, those EDU accounts, that's the ones you'll get with us with that Office 365 email. They'll certainly qualify you for some discounts. And I don't know the Wall Street Journal specifically, but I assume it would. Anything that would qualify you as a student. Okay, Elena asks, What is the difference 3-year and 4-year undergrad diploma? And what is the way to get degree after all courses completed? What is suggested for the courses that not required? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand the question. Can she had to leave too, actually. So maybe we'll touch base with her tomorrow. But 3-year and 4-year um, degree, we don't offer diplomas in business. It's one thing we don't have. We have certificates and degrees. But again, that I did go over that 3-year and 4-year thing. So 3-year is a 90 credit program. A 4-year is a 120 credit program. So it's the difference between 30 courses or 40 courses. And the 3 years really there. So we have a Bachelor of Management 3-year. It's there, gives you the degree, gives you the foundation in business, gives you all of those skills. Lots of students will take that program if maybe they're not necessarily looking to major or they're just need a degree for promotion purposes at work. They need to show they have a degree. So it's not as important to specialize and get that major afterwards, or you're not planning a graduate level program afterwards. So it's two different markets. And just to know that even if you get the 3-year, you can still always convert your degree to the 4-year as well if you decide you want to come back and do that extra. Okay, and Jay is asking, is it possible to change programs after college transcripts have been analyzed? So I'll give that one to Mike.
Thanks, Cheryl. It is absolutely easy and probably too easy to change your program, whether you're in the midst of a transfer credit assessment or you've recently had the results. The only restriction is that you can only change your program once per month via your My AU portal online. So um, keep that in mind. But otherwise, the change of program will not prompt a fee. That's a one-time eval fee. It will, however, result in a re-evaluation of your transcripts. So if you've had an evaluation toward, for example, the Bachelor of Commerce Finance major and you want to switch to the Bachelor of Management, even though you're switching to another business degree program, it will result in your momentary loss of degree works. You'll go back in the evaluation queue and whatever they're running, if it's a 4-week period or 3 or whatever, it'll take that long for you to see the results and have your access to degree works restored. So the other thing to point out is if you were to go inactive and reactivate, of course, they will reevaluate and we will only maintain students' transcripts from an external source for a period of up to 3 years. So there's always a chance that you'll be prompted to arrange for new copies of your transcripts. But I hope that answers Jay's question. You can change your program. And so be careful when you do it because we've seen mistakes there and it just causes bother for the student.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I agree with what you've said. And the main thing to know too is if you're thinking about changing programs is to contact us because we want to go over any possible changes, what's going to happen to your transfer credit maybe, and those kinds of things. So we can answer all that before you change your program. That's the word I emphasize. Lots of times we'll get questions about I want to change my program. But the student's already gone and changed their program before we get to their question. So we certainly want to talk to you before you do that. It's easier for us even because we can actually do what if plans in DegreeWorks. But if you've already changed it, we can't because like Mike said, it's in limbo kind of then as soon as you make that change. But certainly you can do it. It's possible. Lots of students want to change their programs. One thing we didn't really talk about was starting with a certificate program because lots of times students do overlook that. And if you're starting from scratch, you don't have any transfer credit, the 4-year BCom can seem very daunting. You could start with a certificate program and build that into a degree. You're not taking anything extra, but at least you're earning something for that effort along the way. So
Cheryl, if
anyway,
I could add one item too, is that the game's always a little different when you're a funded student. So if you're contemplating a change of program, it's actually pretty vital that you speak with a program advisor first, because when you submit a student loan application, you're specifying a program of study that the intention there is you're getting funded to complete that program. And if you change your program, it can really jeopardize your funded status. Mind you, it does happen, and I've seen smooth changes because often from one business degree program to another, the credit's going to count either way. But it's really important that you check in with us and make sure we work with your SFA advisor to make sure that the change of program doesn't cause any grief for you.
Yeah, good point. So again, the disclaimer about if you're student funded. Basically, if you're student funded, you should contact us anytime you have a question or check with your financial aid advisor on things. Okay, Mitchell is asking, that's why I've pulled this up actually, but does it matter if I have Microsoft Word, Excel, etc. on my MacBook? Are the courses only compatible with the Windows programs? So I don't know if you want to go ahead and answer this, Mike, but we
Sure.
I I'm pulling up the software requirements here because we really do want you to have a PC-based version. When you do some of the CMIS courses in particular, you're gonna have to have the PC-based version of Microsoft Office. And the Word, Excel, and Access and PowerPoint Mac versions are not officially supported. So, and it explains it all here. It doesn't mean you can't use a Mac either. I don't know what you want to add to that, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Cheryl. I guess it's just so much easier if a student can just identify where they can access a PC system. And hopefully for you, that means a friend, family, or maybe in the workplace, just enough access that you can get through a course like this where these assignments are submitted with especially access. It's just a little bit of an issue there if you're a Mac user. So uh, I don't know what to say. That's just one of those courses.
Yeah.
I think actually with CMIS 351 similar, you're going to work with access a little bit. And other than that, I don't know if there's any other courses where it really matters.
Yeah, I don't think so much, but we just have to take the view that we just don't officially support the Mac versions. Okay, and again, like you get that Microsoft Office, you get all those programs with your student account too when you register in a course. And that's spelled out here too. You're entitled to 5 free copies actually. So that's great. So you can have it on a different computer. Okay, Desiree asks, oh, what is the app called again? So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to the Students Union website. She's asking about the Students Union
Oh yeah,
app.
the mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a cool thing because your student union developed it with a vendor that's their area. They provide these mobile apps to campuses. And apparently ours is really one of the most busy because our students, of course, don't have a quad or a students union building to frequent and meet up. And so this app environment is where a lot of our student interactions take place.
Yeah, so you can download the app there, right from their website, or like I said, you can get it anywhere from um, wherever you get your apps from. So it's ausu.org, and you'll be able to find it. I want to see what it does here when I click to download it. Oh, it won't. But I have it on my phone. I really like it. And it gives you all the things you need. So go ahead and download that app. Okay, let's see. Oh, we had another question about a MacBook. So I guess that's good that we answered that one. Okay, Jay is asking another question. Are we able to rebuttal if we feel our transcripts were not analyzed to our liking? So Jay, you can certainly appeal your transfer credit results. Your first step, I would say, would be to contact us in the Student Support Center and get in touch with the senior program advisor like Mike, because we'll look at it with you, explain it to you. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding. Sometimes we just need more information from you. Sometimes it's a detailed course outline, or maybe the course we gave you has changed since the last time we looked at that course or something like that, right? So there could be all kinds of things going on. That certainly it's well within your rights to question that, and I don't think enough students do question it sometimes, actually. Do you have anything to add to that, Mike?
Yeah, thanks. Actually, you nailed it, Cheryl, because yeah, if you don't ask and don't know, it's just it's a blank spot, a blind spot. I guess where it's not likely to result in any change in the assessment results is when clearly we just don't observe whatever course you took initially for transfer credit, because unfortunately there's private institutions that students have earned entire diplomas. And so those kinds of things, there's no real wiggle room at all. And then sometimes we'll have reviewed a course within the last year or so, and it's not likely that they're going to take an outline from a course that they've already looked at and carefully over 2 years ago that to look at it again to make a different decision. So keep those things in mind. But that said, there are reasons to check more closely. And like Cheryl said, it's always a good thing to start with a program advisor because we can help narrow things down with you and also set you on a path so you're not looking for who to go to next. Like that's what we're here to do, smooth things over, move it along.
Great. Okay, Rachel is asking what percentage of students pass the courses? So that's why I pulled up the course page, because I know we used to have information on that. There used to be a link, but I don't know where it is now. Do you, Mike? There used to be a link on pass rates and the withdrawal rates and that sort of thing for courses. So maybe we don't provide that anymore, but it really will, I will say it just depends on the course. And some courses, even though the pass rates might look bad, or bad to you, it's just because sometimes courses are just more difficult. It's a difficult subject matter. So it really just depends. And again, that's why I really plugged that app with the AU Students Union as well, because that's where students reach out to each other and ask each other questions and what they thought about a course and things like that. It's, I don't remember. I don't know if I could find that
Yeah,
link right now for you or if we give
it,
that out.
it's one of those questions that I get asked not often enough that I can think, where do I even identify? I would have to spend a bit of time searching some of my saved links to come up with that information.
Yeah, I don't think you guys want to see me scrolling through all my links right now, but if I find it, Rachel, I will provide it to you if that's still public information. Sometimes things just get buried or the website changes and you don't know where it is anymore. Okay, now Ling asks, as a financial aid student, approximately how long does it take for your MyAU to show the courses you've registered in after you have been approved for financial aid? So I think I can go ahead and answer that. I think as soon as they've cleared your courses and you're actually, sometimes they put them pending on things until something clears. But as soon as you're officially registered on Banner, our student information system, it should show them in my AU. So I'm not sure what the delay could be, but there is a delay sometimes. Just, maybe you gave a course registration plan, but they haven't actually processed it yet. It just depends. But I would say if you've handed in your course registration plan, I don't know, how much time do you think, Mike, we should tell them to wait?
Well, all I know is there's been such a lot of activity and movement in our student financial aid sector that we've got recently trained individuals taking on student cases. And unfortunately, there's been some delays. Plus, they have huge caseloads in general. But my understanding is if you feel like there's some kind of delay going on, again, start with us here as program advising staff, we can sometimes identify what's going on, and that's all I can think to say about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if you have a specific start date and you know the
Yeah.
term you gave them and that you're getting into that term, you don't really have to worry. You know you'll be put in those
Mhm.
courses in ample time for that start. So that 10th cutoff again is still kind of same with them. Like they still have to be in by then if you're starting December. They'd have to be in my AU, kind of have you registered. So if it's outside that time frame, then certainly contact us and we'll see what we can find out too. Danielle or Daniel asks, could you send me a copy, please? Okay, I'll send you, sorry, send you the copy. Suong, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names here. I try my best. This one is asking, the final exam for the course must be taken online at invigilated location and is your responsibility to ensure a computer with an internet connection. Is it mean student need to bring his or her own laptop to the exam center? So I'm going to pull up the exam info because we get this almost every time, and Mike can go ahead and answer some of that.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. It's always the case that you're going to show up at an approved invigilation center, and the system will be provided, and all the access codes will be set up in advance. So you're actually booking the invigilated session, you're requesting the exam, and then you're showing up on the assigned date and time. But as Cheryl's bringing up, like some of your exams will be online, and that's how that'll work. But especially as business students, you're going to be doing a lot of pen and paper exams or pencil and paper exams where, there'll simply be a printed exam waiting for you. So you can always confirm what's it going to be. And if it is online, depending on where you're living in the country or overseas, there's an invigilation network. This is what the information Cheryl has brought up here. And you can always, again, confirm with us if you're not sure about your own circumstances. But especially in the country, it's usually pretty easy to find somewhere fairly handy. If you're handy to any of the AU campus locations, the great advantage there is that you're not paying an invigilation fee to write the exam. Otherwise, at other colleges and universities where we have invigilation agreements, you will typically pay a fee, and the fee can vary because that's assigned by the actual place that's providing an invigilator. So Cheryl's highlighting the fact it could be a basic rate, an hourly rate. Check if you can in advance, because sometimes like a public library will charge a fee, or it'll be lower, or it will be no fee. So then if you are able to do an online exam, your other option, Swung, is you can write through ProctorU, which is a remote invigilator, in which case it could be your own device. And as long as you've got the stable connectivity so that you can support an exam session without any interruptions, and as long as your system is new enough that it's got features like a webcam and so on, what you can do is check the technical compatibilities and requirements in advance and book your ProctorU exam with a remote invigilator on your own device. And they basically kind of get a look at things and kind of limit what your computer can do to basically that exam session, but they're doing it from a location somewhere in North America, basically. So those are your options for exams.
So, yeah, one thing I would add is if you're going to an exam center, you're not writing at home or wherever you want to. If you're going somewhere, it will tell you if it can accommodate an online exam. And if it can, then that's available to you there. That's what that's telling you. You don't bring your own device in. Certainly don't. That's, they're already set up to do that. You just sit down at their computer and you write. So that's why they say they can accommodate an online exam or not. So that's what I was showing you on that network site. But again, ProctorU is getting very popular. People are liking the ability to be able to write at home, as long as you have a good enough internet connection and that webcam. And again, like Mike said, you can always test it, and they suggest you test it before you ever book one. So that's a nice ability to be able to do your exams that way if it's an online exam. So again, each course, if you're in your course, it'll tell you, go look right away what your exam is. If it's online, print-based, then you'll know. And that's why I said again to start with a course or two so you get a feel for how things work or what different scenarios can go on and how you're going to schedule them. Okay, Nathan is asking, are credits taken more than 10 years ago still eligible to be considered for transfer credits? Mike?
Sure, thanks, Cheryl. So yeah, 10 or more years, if it's senior business, those courses would be subject to our stale dating policy. So again, 10 or more years and 300 or 400 level business, and also 5 or more years if it's something related to business and technology or CMIS courses. So that's how stale dating is applied. Now, first off, if it's none of those types of courses, then the time factor is not really a consideration. Maybe it's some senior level psychology courses or anthropology courses, and it's going to transfer over to your non-business options. No problem whether you took it 11 years ago or 21 years ago. Now, if it is a senior level business course or a CMIS course or a statistics course for that matter, if it's been if stale dating has been imposed, what we can always look at is there are circumstances here that we could look at waiving stale dating. Perhaps it's an area or a competency that you're maintaining currency by virtue of your professional activities. So if you can make a case for that, we have a list of items and sort of framework for whether we can consider your request to have stale dating waived, but that is something that the program director will handle. And it's all very straightforward and streamlined. So I hope that answers Daniel's stale dating question.
It was Nathan, but that's okay. I'm sure he'll
Sorry,
forgive you.
Nathan.
But yeah, that's a good, and what I would say too, like contact an advisor, because lots of people, again, they just think nothing's eligible or they won't get anything and they never send anything in. And even talking to an advisor can be helpful because we'll get your background and a better sense of what you have completed. So basically, talk to an advisor because there's certainly still, most times I'd say it's still worth your while to get an evaluation. Okay, um, I'm probably going to really not pronounce your name right, but it's Yifi or Yifi. Where can we see the result of evaluation of our transcripts? Okay. Oh, and actually, before I get to this and before I leave this link and this site, I just want to show you one more thing too, is this link on the left is to our undergrad student orientation. So that's a fuller orientation than you're getting tonight. The one tonight is for faculty of business students, more just covers the basics. The undergrad student orientation will walk you through basically every part of your student life and experience with Athabasca University as a whole. So if you have time to do that, I'd certainly suggest that as well. Um, and I'll actually copy this link and put it in the chat box so you have it as well. Okay, so moving on to the question, where can we see the results of evaluation of your transcript? So again, that was in my AU. And actually, when your evaluation's completed, you will get an email from us. It'll tell you it's been completed and where to go. It'll tell you how to access DegreeWorks and get your transfer credit information. So you should always get that email from us when it's done. If you haven't got an email, then it's probably not completed. Again, you can go on MyAU and check your admission status and see what's going on there. You can check there if anything's listed there. If it's not, then it's not done. So yeah, the evaluation is taking about 4 weeks now, right now, from the time we get your transcripts here. So it doesn't include waiting for your transcripts. So that 4 week time is what you can kind of expect, but you'll get that email. And another word of caution, and we see this all too often as well, is students get that email account with us, so their EDU account, and they don't realize that's where we're sending all your information now. So you're still checking your personal email, or you haven't forwarded it or set it up, properly, so you're not getting those notifications from us. So just make sure you do that. And the second question to that was, I'm majoring in Bachelor of Commerce. I would like to take CPA in the future. How should I design my courses? Okay, so I'm just going to pull up that info as well because it's all on our website. If you go to the business.athabascau.ca, we have a whole section developed for our professional accounting students and those interested in getting that. So again, I'm going to put the link in the chat box as well for you. So becoming a CPA, that's where you want to go. We list all the courses you need to take within that degree program in order to cover the requirements you need for that CPA designation and the entry into their professional program. So it outlines all the requirements and all the courses you need. We update it as they update things. Certainly we try to keep on top of all of that. Accounting is our largest body of students, actually. There's lots of students like you. And again, I'd suggest you sign up for our CPA webinar as well. So again, most of these courses are they're already spelled out. They're in the accounting major. If you're in the Bachelor of Commerce with the accounting major, you're going to get all of these courses within there. There's not much guesswork then. You're going to basically cover these, but we want to make sure we can walk it through with you in advising. And I'm going to show you. So along the top here is this events page. This is where our other webinars are. So you'll see I'm holding the next one on October 28th. So it's coming up pretty soon. So we have our rep here, our CPA rep in Alberta that helps present on that. So I cover a little bit about our degrees and our accounting programs. And then she goes and presents on the CPA specifics. So it's a good presentation to attend as well if you're interested in that. And the earlier you do that, the better. So again, we hold those usually every couple months, every 3 months or so. Okay. Next question. Sorry, I scrolled too far here. Stephen's asking, as you mentioned earlier, most of your students are working full-time and with work experience in relation to their program of studies. Since some courses offer challenge option, will students' resume be required to be put on their student file? I'm going to go to the challenge info, and if you want to cover that one a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, so the challenge for credit, it's more based on, first of all, is that course available for challenge, and then getting permission from the course coordinator. And in that step, you're basically making the case for why you feel you'll be successful with a challenge attempt. And that's not necessarily going into your resume and so on, but you will be providing information that helps the course coordinator or professor just know why you are likely to succeed in the challenge attempt. So, and once you get that permission, you're free to register as a challenged course. Just bear in mind a couple of things. For example, challenged credit won't count towards your residency requirements. So you do have a requirement in any program to meet a certain minimum number of courses that you take through AU, and the challenged attempt won't count. Also, if you're not successful with a challenge attempt, that you will not be permitted to challenge the course in the future. You'd have to take it through the standard registration after that. So I don't know, does that cover it, Cheryl?
Yeah, I think so. And again, your resume isn't going to help anything. It's basically you do a challenge with the understanding that you already covered the content. You feel confident going in that you already know the material. Otherwise, you shouldn't be challenging it, really, is my suggestion. You might as well take the course and do it. Sometimes where I'll recommend a challenge is, let's say you had your transfer credits assessed and we recognize you have a senior business course or whatever in it, but it's not the one you wanted to get credit for, and you still have to do one that you think you already know, then maybe you'd want to look at challenging that specific course. So again, it just depends. Okay, Raquel is asking, how do the testing assignments work when you take online courses? Okay, so we explained the exam invigilation. So every course is going to be different though. So I'll just open a couple of them so you can see. So, well, actually, let's open Admin 232 because it's pretty standard basic, one of your most intro courses. So you can look right away on a course syllabus. It'll tell you what's required for that course. Each course is different. So this one, for example, has 2 assignments and has a midterm and a final. So you're actually going to have to get both of those exams invigilated, either with and then it'll tell you if they're online or not. So these ones are online. So then you know right away, oh, I can do those at home with ProctorU, or I need to go to an invigilation center that can accommodate online exams. So right away, you know you're going twice. Again, you want to look at each course because it will be different. The assessments will be different. Oh, and I forgot to show you too, it'll show you too what the final grade has to be. So you must achieve a minimum grade of 50 on each of the exams and a minimum overall grade of 50%. So it's not good enough to get 50 overall. You have to get 50 on each exam and the 50 for the course. So again, each course is different though. So you really want to be looking at that syllabus beforehand and understanding what's involved. So understand that. So that's kind of every assessment. The evaluation is going to be different for each course. So again, so see, this one has little quizzes and one final exam and assignment. So that's always how I go look at a course. Is the first thing I look at when I'm looking, so you understand what's going to be required of you. Okay, Cassandra's asking, is the max course load for student-funded programs 5 or 6 classes per semester?
Well,
I'm not,
I've
oh, go
seen
ahead.
5, and I'm trying to recall if I've ever seen 6, where I believe
That's
the,
that's what I was trying to think too.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen 6 with a funded student. No.
it might require either special permission from the SFA advisor. The other the other question there is, would the student have a track record of success in their previous funded courses? So those kinds of things are considered. A lot of the time with students who are just starting out with us, we make the suggestion to start with the sort of minimum course load that qualifies you for full-time studies, which is 3 courses per 4-month semester. And every once in a while, a student's quite certain of their capacity to handle more, but it's always good to err on the side of caution. And I'm not 100% sure that 6 courses all at once as a funded student would happen right out of the gate anyway.
Yeah, good. Okay, I have another question from Suwong. I already submitted a course registration plan to Becky, her SFA advisor. How and where to know if my courses are accepted? Okay, so Suwong, we'll reach out to you tomorrow because I'll have your contact info and we'll just check on the status and see where things are at for you, okay? So yeah, if you've already submitted that plan and it's been a while, we'll certainly look into that for you. Morgan is asking, my acceptance letter has an incorrect middle name. Do I go through the help center to get that corrected? Okay, actually, you can go on My AU and go to your personal info and see what it says in there. That would be the first step, I'd say. So you must have maybe typed it wrong when you entered it, or if maybe we did something when we entered it. So it's just you go check out that personal info in My AU. But Mike, do you know, I don't know if you can change your name after. You might have to
No,
actually go through our
yeah,
enrollment services area.
yeah, there's a change of information form, and I'm almost certain it's required if it's a name change. I mean, you can change a lot of other information just through your portal, but if it's a name change, I believe the form is required. And
If it was a thing like a spelling mistake or
yeah,
just typed wrong or whatever, then that might be different. So I'd certainly
yeah.
tell you to reach our enrollment services area. And I'll just put their info in here too.
Yeah, with enrollment services or any other service unit you'll be dealing with over the time you're a student with us, any email, just get in the habit of leaving your full name and AU student ID in the body of your message, and that'll help keep things moving along. If you want a phone call from someone in that unit, just to leave your primary contact number. I mean, they can find it, sure enough, but this is going to help speed it along. And also times of availability if you need a call. But in this case, just getting in touch with enrollment services, that's a pretty easy question that they can help Morgan with.
Yeah, I think that would be the best first step. Well, again, go check it out in my AU first and make sure it is wrong, unless it was just some weird letter and someone typed or something. But if it's wrong in there, then certainly reach out to them. Okay, Jay is asking, are the advisors able to speak with an individual to decide the best route to take? What do you say, Mike?
Well, we we get questions, and sometimes I'm sure I'm not really in a good position to be of much guidance, like career related. We'll do our best though, and sometimes it really is something that we've spoken to enough students over time. We're certainly here to help guide you through program regulations. We're here to uh, confirm course selections. We can get into which courses we know a lot of students find challenging. We kind of try to amass this kind of information in addition to what we're trained to do to do our best with any question you might have. Um, but yeah, if you're in a position where you're just not really sure about how to proceed through a program, maybe you want some suggestions about bunching up or pairing up courses so that you're not doing a ton of tough stuff all at the same time. Like, sure, let's just start with a conversation, a phone appointment, and go from there.
Yeah, I would have just said yes. That's that's exactly what we're here for. And we
Yeah,
want to make sure we talk to you at the beginning. I'm always plugging that now to all the advisors, even the frontline ones, is to help identify the student goal right at the beginning. Because sometimes you get into the wrong program or you don't even know what's available, or we can help you figure all that out. And the sooner we do that, the better. Okay, so Desiree is asking, do you know why there's an out-of-province fee when registering for courses? Certainly, Desiree, it's basically to cover the shipping costs and costs of providing the education out of province. We're actually funded provincially, all education is. So when we get students out of province, we kind of have to cover those fees somehow. It's not a huge difference, but yeah, I don't know how else to explain it, but there is some cost attributed to being out of Alberta. It used to be more so when we had the print-based materials more in the courses because it was a lot related to the shipping fees, but we definitely need to cover the costs of providing all the education to the out-of-province students as well. Okay, Jay is asking, is there a time period where you are enrolled in a course to withdraw with a full refund? So I'll go to that as well.
yeah, that's a great question because
I have all
um,
these bookmarks. They're so handy.
awesome. You can get a refund of the course registration fee, but they'll retain withdrawal administration fees. So almost from day one of registering, it's not great to have to withdraw because they're going to keep some of the funds. And otherwise, if you can withdraw within the first month of your contract, you're going to make a return on the fee minus the administration processing fee. So after that point, as long as you haven't attempted the final exam, you can still withdraw from the course. You won't get any of your feedback, but it'll just be a withdraw on your record, not a failed attempt.
Right. So the information on the screen right now shows you all that too. Okay. Cynthia is asking about exams again, and I know that's our most common question, and it is the most confusing part, I think, especially when you
Yeah.
haven't done one yet and you don't know where to write. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to go there because she's asking specifically about Prince Rupert. So see how quick this
Oh,
is. You go to
yeah.
BC, and then you try to find Prince Rupert. And if there's nothing there, you look for the next closest one to you. So hopefully, hey, there's a Prince
Hey,
Rupert.
Coast Mountain College. Look at that.
There you go. So it tells you what I like about this site is, I mean, it's only as good as the up-to-date information we have. We try to keep it up to date, but it gives you an idea at least of what people are charging per exam because it can really differ. It can differ. They can charge per hour, they can charge per exam. Um, and see, this one is a little different. So it's $50 for a 3-hour exam, $75 an exam exceeding 3 hours. Most exams are 3 hours, but yeah, so I'm seeing they can only do Wednesdays, but they can accommodate online exams. So I don't know BC that well, but if there's something closer or just not that far for you, you could go there. It just depends. So that's why it's a good idea to check this site and see. So I put that link in the chat box again there as well. So that's is the only other fee too. I'll mention that too. So once you apply and you're evaluated, and you pay for each course as you register. The only fees you'll really have on top of that are your invigilation fees. So for your exams, so maybe if it makes that big of a difference to you, that's one way you can look at when you're selecting options. So you look at 2 or 3 courses, how many exams do they have? Do they have a midterm and a final? You know, it might make your decision as to what you want to do. So that's where those option selections become important too. But that is the only fee, and it's just a fee the supervisor charges and it's for their time, so it really has nothing to do with us at that point. Okay, Morgan is asking, can we contact either of you specifically to help with some program assistance? Well, that's flattering. Or is going through the help portal our best option? My transcripts have been received but not evaluated yet, and I would like to start a course for November 1st. Okay, so Morgan, I'll have Mike reach out to you tomorrow, or yeah, it'll be tomorrow. And with that, but certainly the support center is where you want to go most times frontline. If you're dealing with a particular person, such as Mike, and you really like him and you have a rapport with him, he knows what's going on in your program, maybe there's lots of back and forth, we certainly try to funnel that to the same advisor, especially if you put their name on it. So again, like I said, be as specific with your contact as possible. So we do try to do that. Another thing I can plug right now is that again, we try to funnel those and we put them in the queue because we want them answered as quickly and efficiently as we can. So let's say Mike was away for a week on holidays. You don't necessarily want to wait for Mike either, right? So we were analyzing that all the time and keeping an eye on the queue and seeing what's going on. So we do our best, but certainly any advisor could be able to help you out as well. And that's what I was going to plug is that we also, the Student Support Center can now actually book you an appointment with an advisor. So it's a 2-day timeline, a 2-day benchmark that we have to get back to you. So just because you contact the support center today doesn't mean you'll get a response from someone today. We have 2 days, 2 business days to get back to you. We're usually well within the day. When we're really busy, it can get up to 2. So, but we've never really been outside of that 2 days. And they're able to actually now book appointments. So let's say you don't know, you just know you can only meet with someone on Friday afternoon because you have that time off or something. Then they can actually book an appointment with an advisor and you can book with a specific advisor or just generally anyone that's available. So our support center can actually do that for you as well if you need a specific day and time. We're trying to be more and more accommodating and flexible as well because we know it's hard for you to schedule your time as well. Okay, so I feel like I'm out of breath already, but we've had
Yeah,
lots of
lots of good
questions tonight.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is great. We still have quite a few people online. I'll just looks like the questions have run out. But I'd
Awesome.
like to thank everyone for kind of sticking around and waiting for all the answers and really asking a lot of questions. That's great. Yeah, so it looks like there are no more questions. So again, if you do have questions, certainly reach out to us after the webinar. And again, there's people in the support center tonight right till 8:30. So they always ask us the next day, like, did you have a webinar last night? Because they know they start getting phone calls and things. So that's great. That's what we're here for. Reach out to us, and hopefully we helped, again, take some of that anxiety out for you. And thank you for taking time out of your evening to spend with us and take that first step towards your success. So, and thanks, Mike, for helping me out because I'm sure
Oh,
I would have
thank you,
lost my
Cheryl.
voice. Yeah.
Yeah, likewise. But
Yeah.
thanks everyone, and thanks for having me as part of this webinar.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.